Hello everyone, so today I'll be doing a chapter breakdown on Bertrand Russell's book, The Problem of Philosophy. So I'll be breaking down chapters 1 and 2, and I'll be giving a thorough explanation of each chapter. So to begin, Bertrand Russell contrasts the difference between appearance and reality. So he notes that what we see with our senses is not actually reality itself. So when I look at this lemon, for example, I am seeing the color of the object, the shape of the object, the texture and how the object feels. And these are all the appearances of the object. But Bertrand Russell notes that this is actually not reality itself. So that doesn't mean that the object doesn't exist. What he's noting is that what I see is drastically different from the actual objects that's existing. Now you might feel that's very weird and blown away by that, but it actually makes sense. All of our daily occurrences with our senses are subjective based on the mind. So for example, when we look at this pear, although most people will see the color yellow, they might see a different shade of yellow. From looking at it from one perspective, the yellow might be a little bit darker than another part of the yellow. And someone standing right next to me might look at the color yellow a little bit differently. He might see it darker than it really is, than how I see it. When someone touches the lemon, the texture might slightly feel different compared to another person. Someone who has harder hands, who's been training a lot, when he touches a lemon, it might feel a little bit rougher. But someone who has softer hands might feel the lemon to feel softer than it is. If I look at the lemon from this position, I see a circular shape. But when I see the lemon from a standing position, it might be a little bit of an oval shape. So the shape of the lemon is also dependent on the observer. If I look at it from certain angles and another person looks at it right next to me from a different angle, he might see the lemon in a different shape than I do. So from this, we see that the shape of the object, the touch of the object, and the color of the object is not actually the intrinsic character of the object itself. It's the sensations that we're getting and how we're perceiving it. Now, what Bertrand Russell talks about is that the object itself is producing sense data, and this sense data is the color, the shape, the size, and our sensations are interacting with the sense data to capture how it looks like. So the things that we're interacting with on our daily basis is not actually the physical world. It's the mental world, a world inside of our own minds. And this comes to the question now that if everything is within our own minds, if everything which I see is inside of our own minds, and just another example and another abbreviation of that is that, the color of the pillow is red for me, right? So this color of the pillow is red, right? Now a colorblind person, right, does not see the red color. So the color is actually not an intrinsic nature of the object. We see the color based on how our brains react to it. It's not actually part of the object itself. Now, to move forward with that point now, if everything what we perceive is based upon our subjective minds, Bertrand Russell notes that, is there a world outside of our mind at all? Can this all just be a dream? Now, a lot of people will say, no, it can't be a dream, because they'll appeal to other people's experiences. They'll say, I see my friend talking to me. My friend tells me this is not a dream. But the thing is that even your friend is inside of your own mind. When your friend interacts with you and talks to you, what you see and what you perceive is the sense data. What you perceive is the sound that your friend is emitting, the way your friend looks like, the color of your friend's skin. All such things are once again not actually part of the physical characteristics of the world, but is subjective based on the brain. So Bertrand Russell has a problem, he says. He says we have no way of proving with certainty that we're not living in a dream. So how must we show that this is not the case? How can we show that we're not actually inside of a dream? Well, one of the hypotheses Bertrand Russell comes up with is that he says that the idea that we're not in a dream is a simpler hypothesis, and it could explain the world in better detail. Now, in philosophy, a simpler hypothesis is a more probable hypothesis. So a hypothesis that could explain the world in better detail and is far more less complex tends to be more probable and more preferred. This is something that is called Occam's razor as well. Now, if everything is based on perception, right, we're living in a dream, that means that if there's a cat walking in your room and you close your eyes, what that would mean is the cat is not there anymore, since everything is perception. But then we ask the question then, why is the cat getting hungry? Why is the cat hungry when I didn't even see the cat? If the cat's not being perceived with my eyes. Let's say the cat goes outside the room, right? Well, if the cat walks outside the room, Bertrand Russell would note that under the dream hypothesis, the cat wouldn't exist, right? So then the question becomes, why is the cat becoming hungry then, when it comes back into my sight? So Bertrand Russell notes that this is the simpler hypothesis. This is a hypothesis that we're not in a dream is a far more simpler one.